When you step into one of those, really high-end dining rooms, a Michelin-starred place, you just expect everything to be perfect.
Of
The
course.
lighting, the service, the linen, every single detail is treated like it's a piece of the architecture. And yet, there's almost always a weak spot.
Oh, yeah. The music.
The music.
It's the Achilles heel of hospitality.
Yeah.
So many places just treat it like an afterthought. It's like
Yeah.
a playlist to fill the space, set a vibe.
A superficial vibe.
Exactly. And in doing that, they're undermining the entire painstakingly crafted experience. They treat sound as decoration.
And the sources you brought for us today argue the complete opposite. They say sound is infrastructure. It's the most invisible, but maybe the most powerful architecture in the room.
It really is.
Yeah.
And their whole philosophy is built around this one core idea, this sort of chain reaction.
Okay.
It goes, music creates atmosphere. Atmosphere creates environment. Environment influences behavior.
Right, let's unpack that, because that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to figure out the technical specs, the BPMs, the frequencies, the structural arc of this music for Michelin cycle to see how they turn sound from just background noise into this essential thing for the guest.
And it matters so much because that auditory environment, it shapes everything on a subconscious level. It shapes your perception of time, of taste, intimacy, even memory.
So you're saying before a waiter even comes over, before I've even seen a menu, my body has already made a decision about the room.
Absolutely. Your nervous system is constantly, running a risk assessment. It decides if the room is safe or if it feels rushed or exposed or held.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if the sound is too sharp or too loud or the rhythm is aggressive, your body gets a little stress signal and you will literally perceive the food differently.
Wow. The stakes are incredibly high then.
Yeah.
So let's get into the design. It starts by fixing that big foundational flaw, right? That restaurants always think about music last.
They do. When they should be designing the acoustic space first. In that crucial first step, it doesn't even start with music. It starts with its absence.
It's
A
absence.
deliberate absence.
Yeah.
These sources call it the silence that is not empty.
The silence that is not empty. I like that. That sounds intentional, not
Yeah.
cheap.
Exactly.
So how do you physically build that? I mean, you can't just, hang a few acoustic panels on the wall and call it a day.
No, that's the functional fix. This
Uh-huh.
is the architectural approach. It's about the materials. Wood, fabric, leather, even curved surfaces. They don't just absorb sound, they diffuse it. They soften the reflections.
So you're getting rid of that brittle echo, that slapback sound that makes a room feel cold.
You've got it. That's what happens when sound hits a hard, flat surface.
Mm-hmm.
But with these materials, you're building a room that already sounds warm and padded before a single note of music is even played.
And what does that do to us, to the guests, neurologically?
It's an immediate de-escalation.
Yeah.
Your shoulders drop. You find yourself lowering your voice without even thinking about it. Your breathing slows.
It's a subconscious welcome mat.
A silence as welcome. And it has to come first. Because if the room itself feels harsh, the music is just going to make it worse. It'll just amplify the tension.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so we've built our foundation of intentional silence. Now we bring in the sound. And the sources are very clear on this next point. Arguing about jazz versus ambient is the wrong debate.
It is completely the wrong question.
Yes.
Genre is just style. What really matters is frequency behavior.
Frequency behavior.
The music isn't there to entertain you. It's there to support the environment.
I love the metaphor they use for this. They say music should behave like daylight through a window.
Yes.
It's present, it's supportive, but it's not dramatic. It just illuminates.
And to get that effect, you have to operate in what they call the intimacy zone,
Yeah.
a very specific, non-threatening frequency range.
Okay, what is that range?
You prioritize the frequencies that mirror the human voice. So that's roughly 500 hertz to 2.5 kilohertz. This means the music supports conversational clarity. It doesn't compete with it.
So your brain can easily separate the music from the person you're talking to.
Exactly. But wait, here's a key detail. You still need that gentle warmth in the low end, around 120 to 250 hertz.
Why? Wouldn't that just make things muddy?
It's a great question. You'd think, sir, but it's not a bass line. It's not a beat. It's just this foundation of fullness and comfort. It gives you that feeling of being held by the room. Without it, the sound feels a little thin, a little fragile.
Ah, so it adds emotional weight, but without being rhythmically aggressive.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the same is true for the high end, but in reverse. Anything above 6 kilohertz has to taper off very softly. It should never sparkle or bite.
Because that would be distracting.
Distracting and fatiguing. It makes the clink of glassware sound brittle instead of, artisanal. It just wears you out.
And they have that beautiful summary for the overall texture.
They do. The goal is for the sound to feel like brushed linen, not polished chrome.
Tactile and soft, not reflective and harsh. So let's connect that brushed linen sound to flavor. This is where it gets really, really interesting.
This is the neuroscience part.
How does soft sound actually change how food tastes?
Okay, so harsh high frequencies, they raise your cortisol. That's a stress hormone.
Right.
And when you're stressed, your sensory perception literally narrows. Aggressive rhythms make you rush your chewing. Those bright, sharp sounds, they fatigue your ear, and your brain starts dedicating energy to filtering out the noise.
So it's literally pulling resources away from tasting.
Yes. So the meal, that expensive, beautifully crafted meal, is being chemically sabotaged inside your own head by a bad playlist.
That is wild.
It is. The sources put it so well. Sound quite literally seasons the meal. It's an ingredient you don't even know is there.
And a huge part of that seasoning is rhythm, the tempo.
The tempo is critical because dining has its own pace. It's slower than walking, slower than talking, and way, way slower than most popular music. If the music is pushing you, you feel rushed, no matter what the kitchen is doing.
So what's the magic number? What's the optimal pace?
The pulse has to align with the body, not fight it. So the sources say the sweet spot is between 55 and 75 DPM.
55 to 75. Just for context, most pop music is what, like 100, 120?
Easily, yeah. So we are talking about something significantly slower, something at or even below a resting heart rate.
That must feel almost motionless compared to a normal restaurant. What does that slowness achieve?
It makes you take longer bites. It encourages deeper chewing, more attentive tasting, and crucially, it affects your perception of time.
How so?
Faster music compresses time. An hour feels like 40 minutes. But with this slow, steady pulse, time feels like it's stretching. And that feeling of a long, leisurely evening is the absolute core of luxury.
Which brings us to the blueprint itself, the 33-track continuous audio cycle. This is not a playlist. They call it a closed ecosystem.
A full narrative arc for the evening. And it keeps the tempo locked in between 55 and 72 BPM with almost no dynamic change. It's all designed to map the dining journey across 5 phases.
Okay, let's walk through them. Phase 1, arrival and settling, tracks 1 through 6.
This is all about that transition from the chaotic outside world. The music is almost silent. It's textures, like a Felton piano, where the notes have a really soft attack.
The track titles say it all, like first glass, no words.
Yeah. The feeling is like the room is taking a deep breath, just letting everything else fall away.
Okay, then we move into phase 2, social warmth and early courses, tracks 7 to 14.
Right now, a subtle pulse is introduced. Soft strings, vocal pads, like on the track, the murmur of belonging. This creates what the sources call social camouflage.
Social camouflage?
It means the sound fills the background just enough so that your own conversation feels private and intimate, even in a full room.
And the harmony here is often unresolved, you mentioned. Why is that?
Because unresolved harmony creates a tiny bit of tension that your brain wants to complete. And by leaving the music open like that, it invites you to resolve that feeling with your own conversation, your own connection.
Yeah.
Your brain focuses on the dialogue.
That is so clever. Okay, which brings us to the main event, the center of the evening, tracks 15 to 22.
This is the phase of negative space, of restraint. The pulse is there, around 65 BPM, but you feel it more than you hear it.
Like in the track Time Loosens.
Exactly. The music here is just holding the emotion of the room, not trying to guide it. It becomes totally transparent, so the food and the conversation can be the absolute focus, no distractions.
And then the wind down, which is also really important for the restaurant's bottom line, dessert and lingering, tracks 23 to 29.
Here, the music intentionally gets thinner, fewer instruments, more space. Tracks like Almost Dessert or Last Bites. The silence starts to become more present again, but it feels warmer now.
Why? What's the goal?
It's a signal of safety and slowness. It encourages you to lean back, to relax. It makes staying for that extra coffee, that digestive, feel like the most natural thing in the world.
And finally, you have to get people out the door without breaking the spell. Departure without rupture, tracks 30 to 33.
Right. This phase mirrors the quiet of the opening, but it's different. One track is called The Silence, that is still warm. It's been seasoned by the evening. It's designed to dissolve seamlessly right back into track 1.
So the room just continues on without you.
Which is key for creating a positive memory. It doesn't end abruptly.
So after all of this incredibly detailed technical design, what is the highest compliment you can give it?
The sources are very clear. The highest compliment is invisibility.
Invisibility.
If a guest ever says, wow, this restaurant has great music, the design has failed. Because that means the music performed for attention.
Instead of hosted the experience.
Exactly.
So what do guests say when it works? What are the successful outcomes?
They say things that prove the architecture did its job.
Huh?
They'll say, we completely lost track of time, or the food just tasted so rich, or my favorite, the conversation just flowed.
And all of that translates directly into business metrics, right? Longer table times without people feeling like they're waiting, more dessert orders, even less vocal fatigue for the staff.
Yeah, and you see it perfectly in that little anecdote they included about the 5 friends at Evil.
Samira, Jules, Reza, Maya, and Ari.
Right. And they noticed that the room itself felt padded. When a fork tapped a plate, the sound was soft, rounded, not sharp.
That is such a tiny detail, but it says everything. It means every single sound reinforced that feeling of quality and safety.
Precisely. And because of that, their conversation just flowed for hours until they suddenly looked up and realized they had totally lost track of time. The environment held them. It was an accomplice to their intimacy.
So the final synthesis here is that this isn't really about sound. It's about shaping trust. It's about telling the body it's safe to belong, not to perform.
It's an ecosystem of safety, yeah. So you can just be yourself and engage.
And the key insight here for you, for the listener, is that when music is designed to host, not perform, all those technical rules, the BPM, the frequencies, they paradoxically create emotional freedom. The room becomes generous.
And that idea isn't just for fancy restaurants. It's about intention.
That's right. Remember how the sources say the final tracks are seasoned by the evening? They heard the memory of the time that was spent there. The design doesn't just manage the present, it curates the memory of the past.
Which I think raises a really interesting question for you to take away from this. You know, how can you apply this? What elements, sound, light, anything can you design with intention today?
So that your own space, your home, your office could be seasoned by your presence and actually hold you tomorrow.
What invisible architecture can you build for belonging?
A powerful thought. That is the true power you can extract from these blueprints.
Absolutely.
Thank you for diving deep with us into the architecture of hospitality. We've gone through the sources, we've pulled out the rules, and now you are officially well informed. We'll see you next time.